Welcome to Pardon the Intermission, a podcast that takes a look at movies, TV, and all things entertainment from the past, the present, and the future. Remember to subscribe and like the podcast and give a review. This helps out the podcast and is greatly appreciated. Now on to the show. Yes, hey everyone, welcome to Pardon the Intermission. I'm Eric.
And I'm Jason.
And we're glad you're here with us. As always, check out our social media. We are on X at PTI_podcast.
And, of course, you're going to find us on Facebook at Pardon the Intermission.
And YouTube and Rumble, type in Pardon the Intermission.
Yeah.
And we got what do we got? Trailer reviews. We've got movie reviews. We got all kinds of good stuff we're putting up there.
We have it all. We have teaser reviews. We have trailer reviews. We have movie reviews. And when you sign on to our Facebook page and you follow us, you're going to see me posting a lot more links to some of the stories that we have discussed within the last week, 2 weeks, month, whatever. So that way you guys can get a firsthand look at what it is we are opining about. So yeah, lots of fun stuff out there. Lots of great ways to stay connected with us. So make sure you go ahead and do that now. In fact, we'll give you a few seconds to do it. Okay, great. You've had your chance. Welcome back.
and also put some ideas. Hey, if there's like a movie you want us to do a retro review, or you want us to talk about something,
absolutely,
put it in there.
Engage with us.
Yes. We love that, and we'll go ahead and we'll do that, and we'll talk about stuff.
Yeah.
We already did. Now, my family and I went and saw Superman. We did a review, and we put it up. We actually put it up on the YouTube and Rumble, speaking of that. And we also have it here on the podcast sites. Mm-hmm. You saw Superman as well.
I did.
Now, I was waiting, man, because I really, really wanted to talk. As a matter of fact, you were supposed to go with us. It didn't work out, but you were going to go too. And we were going to, But, man, I want to talk to you so bad about Superman, what you thought. The lore, as far as it, some of the breaking of the lore, what you thought of the story, what you thought of the characters, the actors, go for it.
Yeah, so look, I loved it. I thought it was fun.
Hey,
yes.
It's gonna be yes.
Yay, I thought it was fun. Yeah, the thing I loved the most about it was that James Gunn didn't attempt to go back and reinvent the wheel again. He didn't try and tell another origin story.
Yeah.
And, I got to say, I'm glad they didn't, because to be respectfully, friends, if you don't know the lore of Superman right now, there's no hope for you. Okay. So
true.
I'm glad that he did not do another origin story. The one thing I really loved the most about this film was the relationship between Clark and Lois. It was just like, boom, they were already there. And surprisingly, Rachel Brosnahan and David Corenswet had really good chemistry on the screen together.
They did,
I really liked their moments together. And David Corenswet's version of Superman, we've seen different renditions, different takes of Superman. His version, I thought, was a little bit more cynical.
Really?
Well, to an extent. I mean, I remember reading a lot of the previews and a lot of the reviews going into the film about how, this was a movie about illegal immigrants and illegal immigration, and stuff like that. And so I thought, especially that one scene where they uncover the last part of the recording that his parents left him that was previously damaged and thought unrecovered. Well, when he finds out that, they considered Earthlings, to be quite inferior, and he was sent there to basically, slam down every bordello and, get busy and dominate the Earth, I kind of felt like those moments in the movie kind of made him seem a little bit cynical to some extent, but also a little bit naive too. Yeah. But still, I thought he tried to create his own version of Superman. He didn't.
You're talking about James Gunn?
Corenswet.
Oh, Corenswet. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just about the character right now. He didn't try and imbue a lot of the qualities that Christopher Reeve had created, and then Henry Cavill and Brandon Routh and. Yeah. There's even been a couple
George Reeves.
No,
I don't know. I'm just teasing.
Yeah, right. So I did like Corenswet overall. As far as the quality of the film, I would rate it about a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Well, it's not without its flaws.
That's what I gave it. I gave it a 7.
Yeah.
The problem, and I'll let you finish up, but I was just going to say real quick, the problem though is the more I think about it, the more it's kind of slipping on my scale a little bit. Not much,
okay.
but a little bit. But okay, but go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So I gave it a 7.5 out of 10 because
Okay.
obviously there were some moments that just seemed a little bit kind of corny, a little bit cheesy.
Yeah.
But still, I love the way that they incorporated the ancillary characters. Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. Nathan Fillion, by the way, stole the film.
Oh my
I
gosh.
thought.
No, I think stole the film is Mr. Terrific.
Oh, possibly, yes. Yeah.
I think he was the best character that came out of that film. Really,
I would probably agree with you. Yeah. So, again, I love the way that he incorporated those ancillary characters because he didn't overdo it.
Yeah.
He didn't try and make too much out of nothing there, which is great because. Obviously it's a Superman film, and it's good to have those characters in there, but make sure that you keep in mind you're not taking away from the fact that it's just a Superman solo film.
Which is one of the complaints about the film. I've heard a lot of people say, though, that they feel it's not quite a Superman film because of that, because of the characters and maybe focusing too much on the other characters. I'm like, well, I'm coming on the fence about that. I don't know.
You can kind of think of it that way, but also look at it this way too. Okay, in the Marvel films, all the teasers that they had at the end, and even some of the cameos that we saw in some of their films, in some ways foreshadowed what eventually was going to become the Avengers and the grander MCU.
Sure. Yeah.
James Gunn is doing the exact same thing here. Okay, so he's going about it a much different way.
Well, he's kind of he's jumping. I think he's jumping into the deep end of the pool.
Yes, he is.
I guess to try to put in a metaphor. In other words,
Yes,
he's not just saying here's Iron Man,
Yeah.
and then there's a teaser for maybe Captain America in the next one or whatever.
Yeah.
At the credit scene, he's like, okay, I've got these characters. And we're going to introduce a whole bunch of characters right now in the film. This is as if it had already been playing for a few years.
Yeah.
This DCU universe.
I will say the plot of the movie was at times it stayed consistent about the him trying to stop the conflict of the Baravian army going into Jaranpur or whatever the name of the country was.
Is that
called
actual
again.
comic book lore or
Not that I recall.
Okay, so this is something made up.
It's just something made up, yeah.
Okay.
But so I mean, it did kind of plot along there at certain points in the film. I like Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor overall. I thought that there were some points where he kind of overdid it a little bit, but he basically conveyed the essence of what Luthor is really about. Very diabolical, very menacing to an extent.
Psychopathic. Kind of.
Well, no.
Sociopathic, maybe a sociopath.
Well, egotistical, I would say is more.
Okay.
Yeah, because you could say that description is more apropos for the Joker and Batman rather than Lex Luthor. Because, the character of Lex Luthor is really, he's really a genius. He is a smart guy. But Eric, he's very diabolical. He's very sleuth. He likes to come in and approach you at stealth speed with his plan.
And he also seems very, I mean, obviously it stayed in the movie. He's very jealous of Superman.
Oh, extremely jealous.
Because,
And that's where the egotism
Yes.
falls into play there. I really love the fight scenes that we saw in the beginning of the film and then towards the end as well, with, as we found out eventually was, spoiler alert people, a clone of him, of Superman, where he did all the coordinated fight scenes with his people,
By the way, there are going to be spoilers in this review.
Yeah,
so
there are.
there are.
Sorry.
This is a non-free spoiler review.
So yeah, I love the coordinated fight scenes, like where you see the people, the computers, and then Luthor says N71 A94. It's like, wait, is this a bingo game or is this a fight? But you saw that he had spent all that time studying Superman's fight moves and using them against him with what wound up being his clone.
And that's one thing, since you brought that up, that's one of the gripes on my list here I had, which was that towards the end of the movie when he fought Ultraman again, I didn't see any progression. I thought that we would see, because these two guys are matched supposedly, right?
Yeah.
But the minute he loses, I think he loses the upper hand to Ultraman. The minute he loses Lex Luthor's, because they basically Luthor was communicating with a bunch of drones. He was watching the fight. And he's able to call it out, right?
Yeah, right.
And what do we have here?
Something we'll discuss later.
Okay, we'll discuss. Sorry, he's showing me a tweet right now. Sorry, folks.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's going through he's watching through these drones, and once Crypto comes in and takes out all those drones where Luther can't see the fight, I would think Superman would have the upper hand.
Yeah.
The other thing too that I want to see is a progression where Superman sees the threat. It's an even threat to him, because in the beginning of the film it opens up like the trailers they've shown where basically Superman ends up in the snow and he's beat up pretty bad.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is I wanted to see Superman progress and be able to outwit Ultraman. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, this guy's got my moves down. There's something very familiar about him.
Yeah.
And maybe kind of catch on to what's happening, and then we see him more take him on. And I know why he did what he did, how he defeated him. I mean, they're obviously James Gunn throwing it in his back pocket. He wants to do some alternate universe with it's not really Bizarro Superman, it's more Ultraman, right? Which is a different which is a little bit different take. But
now as far as the canon where James Gunn pulled this from, it was kind of a combination of everything. It was kind of a combination of Superman comics from the mid to late 80s, early 90s, Adventures of Superman, Man of Steel, like the robots, that you saw. Yeah. Those were definitely kind of vintage Superman from 80s, 90s, so on and so forth. So James Gunn, I thought James really did one thing I loved was the authenticity of the character design. He made, I really started foaming at the mouth, pardon my language there, when they showed the Hall of Justice. Because that's exactly how the Hall of Justice was almost exactly how it was drawn in the comics.
Well, it reminded. I never read the comics, but the cartoon. It reminds me of the cartoon,
the Super Friends, right?
The Super Friends cartoon.
Yes, that too. But yeah, I mean, they did an outstanding job of paying attention to detail with the set design and and also too. Another thing I liked is that while this was heavily laden with effects, they didn't go overboard with the effects. They didn't look extremely cheesy to the point where they were unbelievable. Yeah. So I felt that was cool too. But again, and it's not without its faults, but Guy Gardner Green Lantern, he wasn't one of my favorite characters. He kind of bridged the Hal Jordan Green Lantern, if I'm recalling the canon correctly. So he came before Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Okay. But Nathan Fillion though stole the show. Like I like where he goes up, where they're getting ready towards the end of the movie to have that fight between the armies, the Baravian and the Javian armies, and then the kid waving the Superman flag sees Guy Gardner come down, and he says, "I'm expecting for Superman," and he says, "You got an upgrade, kid."
Sorry, kid, he's not showing up, but you got an upgrade. Yeah. He couldn't make it. Sorry, kid, he couldn't make it, but you got an upgrade. And
then when he's fighting off all the tanks, you see him create little fingers.
Best. Oh my God. Fingers. To me, and that's the thing. Listen, and let's not forget, this is a James Gunn movie, and this is very James Gunn-esque.
Very James
to
Gunn-esque.
me, Guy Gardner. Now I don't know if he's that same character in the comic books.
He's basically a prima donna, is what he is.
And he's very. It also reminisced of Rocket. The raccoon and Guardians of the Galaxy, same type of attitude, right? That just devil may care, and just always with the quick whips and all that. The funniest part was when they were in the Hall of Justice with Lois Lane and
Hawk Girl,
and something about that, and it said something about his haircut, and he's like, well, 300 and some odd women will disagree with you
on that. Yep.
I love somebody get a decent haircut. Oh man, this is it was fun, man. That I will say this, and like I said, it was starting to, as more I think about it, the more I see its flaws. Yeah. But at the time, I will say I did have a lot of fun in the theater.
Yeah, I did too.
And that's what's been missing in movies in general.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And I'll also say this, which I'm gonna pick it apart. I got a few other things I want to ask you about here, but we'll pick it apart a little bit. But at the same time, I mean, this movie has the weight of the world on it. Really, because there's so much expected out of this movie. Now, if it was just hey, James Gunn Superman, nobody knew who James Gunn was, and he gave us this movie, we'd probably think, man, this guy's a genius. He's amazing. This was amazing. Yeah. But because we know who James Gunn is, because we know DC is familiar with everybody and what they've done over the years, and some people like Zack Snyder, some people like the Christopher Reeve Superman. It's kind of like this thing had a lot of I don't know how to say it, weight of the world, a lot to be expected out of it. So what are some other points you had? What are some other things you like? What about Crypto? Did you find him? That was the thing. Some people said he was annoying. Some people loved him. We're both dog lovers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this. We both have dogs. that I'm sure your dog reminded you of Crypto. I mean, Crypto reminded me of my dog. I was
yes.
that's great. I'd be all beat up, or I'd break a leg and my dog would come over and jump on me. Like, let's play. Like in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, so Crypto comes from the more recent Superman canon. At least that I recall. So he was there for the kid appeal more than anything else.
And he's reminiscent. He was made after. He's actually a dog in the comics, but he was made after. We all know. Well, I say we all know, but I mean, they've reported on James Gunn's own dog. Right. It's very familiar to his own dog. Right. That he has adopted. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So,
as a matter of fact, you see that I went ahead and broke down, man.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I got on the shelf right now. I'm showing Jason. I've got a Crypto at the theater. I bought a Crypto dog. I had to do it.
Don't let Bailey get that. She'll tear it all up.
yeah, my dog will. Yeah, she'll have fun with that one.
Yep.
Yeah, I had to do it.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought Crypto, actually Crypto, like you said, it was a kid appeal. I don't think it took away from the movie at all.
No, not at all. It wasn't too distracting. And some of the scenes were actually really poignant and not really tearjerkers, but they were just, really, aw, how we get about our dogs sometimes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were fun.
Going back to what you're saying about Superman, about what's his face's take on Corn Sweat.
Yeah.
David Cornsweet. I think we have to remember, too, where the character is at this point. Now, the character is only 3 years of being Superman, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's been Clark Kent his whole life.
Yes.
But or at least until when he got to Earth.
Yes.
But he is now, he's only been Superman. So I think that's where a little bit of the naivete comes in. When we're talking about his character, and I think he played that very well.
Yeah,
he wasn't. It doesn't show like he was super mature.
Right
off the bat. And I like that. The only thing, like I said, that I did not like, there are two things that I did not like about that, was the one in the fight, which I did say it would be nice to see him kind of progress and see that, he's learning.
Yeah.
The other thing was that little speech he had with Lex Luthor, man. Oh, it was like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Yes,
I liked the speech that he gave. I didn't like the way he delivered it. It was almost like he was out of control and he had lost it and he's throwing a tantrum. But people are. I believe too, and I put my. It's like no. If I think the delivery was wrong. If he would have gave that in a very mature tone. Because at that point he had the power position over Lex.
Right, exactly.
And Lex had kind of went off and had his little temper tantrum. So I think that's the only thing that I didn't like about. The character-wise, those couple of things. But other than that, I think he did a great job. Like you said, chemistry between him and Lois was amazing. It was really good.
Yeah, it really was. And I loved Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane.
Yeah.
I thought. Well,
it had Margot Kidder. I will say, this Superman looks a lot like the original, the 78. I shouldn't say the original, but the 78 version with Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder. And their relationship, it wasn't a copy, but it just had hints of that, which I like. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, that's okay. Well, it's kind of interesting because I felt that Rachel Brosnahan's character, her portrayal of Lois Lane was a combination of the Margot Kidder Lois Lane, but also, remember, Kate Bosworth played Lois Lane in Superman Returns with Brandon Routh. So I thought that she was a good combination of Kate Bosworth's telling or version of Lois Lane and then Margot Kidder's version of Lois Lane.
Okay.
Because there was definitely that the Kate Bosworth played a more I don't want to say abrasive Lois Lane. She was a more stronger Lois Lane. Like she was, hey, no one's going to tell me what to do and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Margot Kidder's version was like that, but there was more vulnerability in her. That's what the word I'm trying to look for.
Yeah.
Kate Bosworth's version was not as vulnerable as what Margot Kidder's version was. Rachel Brosnahan, I felt, showed that not so vulnerable version of Lois Lane, but she also did it as well in the scenes with David Cornsweet. She did the Margot Kidder with Cornsweet, and then in the scenes where she wasn't with him, like when she was with Mr. Terrific, and they were going through the multi-dimensional portal there and everything.
Yeah.
That's where she kind of took on the more, hey, Kate Bosworth, stronger Lois Lane.
Yeah.
But with that being said, she still had imbued a lot of those qualities that Margot Kidder portrayed when she did Lois Lane too.
And somebody made mention of this, and I thought, that was a good point with her character, is that she actually got to do reporter work in this. You know what I mean? She
did.
wasn't just,
Yeah.
oh, she's a reporter, but she never did. I mean, obviously a big part of the story is that they find out that, which was really great, man, because all the characters, Jimmy Olsen, all the characters had a part in that, and they found out what Lex Luthor's big plan was, his big overall plan, and actually to report that was a part of the story.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like the Daily Planet wasn't just a side character, which I liked.
Yeah.
The only gripe I have there, I think, would be that I didn't get to see enough of him. I would have liked to see more of, like, Jimmy Olsen. I mean, he did get a bigger part, but I'd like to see, like, what's her name, Cat Grant. I'd like to see, what's his name, White? Is it Perry White?
Perry White, yeah.
Oh, man, I love that actor. Ever since Suits.
That's Wendell Mathis.
Yeah. No, that's not Wendell Mathis, is it? Is it Wendell Mathis?
He was in The Wire.
Oh, yeah.
Really good.
Also, the
big,
Suits.
deep
He was in
voice.
Suits, yeah.
Yes, he was.
Oh, man, that guy, yeah. Somebody was saying I could just listen to him read a phone book. For those of you who don't know what a phone book is, but look it up.
He has a great voice.
He has a great voice, but I think they could have used him a little more, too. Let me ask you that. Okay, so let me ask you this. That brings up another point I had. Do you feel like the film was a little rushed, though? It went a little too fast at times? Or how'd you feel?
Yeah, I do. I felt it went rushed, or especially towards around the middle of the film, when right after he finds out that he was sent to Earth to rule rather than help. It seemed like a few minutes after that is when things started to get rushed. And like you made a good example of that in the scenes with Perry White. There just wasn't time there to develop him like there had been in the previous films, like when Frank Langella played him in Superman Returns, and then when Jackie Cooper played him in the Richard Donner film.
Yeah, Superman the movie.
I thought some of the basic scenes felt a little bit more rushed. So it seems like, it felt like James didn't want to pull too much attention off of the story he was trying to tell, which could explain why he rushed through some of those scenes.
And also, too, he may have been trying to keep it, because everybody complains about these long movies, and he may have been trying to keep the time down in general. I think he would have been okay. I think he could have let that movie have another, what do you think, 20, 30 minutes, and it would have been fine. I would have been fine with it.
Yeah, I think so.
If he would have, if he would have had it. The one thing about the movie, too, that I think kind of hurt it is the trailers. They seem to always show the wrong, like that fight between Lois and Clark in the apartment.
Yeah.
That gave me a wrong impression of what the movie might be about. When I saw it in context, when I saw it in the actual movie, I was like, that worked really well. That was a great scene. But when I saw the trailer, I was kind of like, what the heck's going on here? Anyway. So I think just a little side note. I think actually the trailers might have hurt the film more. I think they could have put the trailers together in a better way.
Yeah, potentially.
What'd you think about him saving the squirrel?
That didn't need to be in the movie.
Come on, man. It's a squirrel.
I don't care if it was a chipmunk or an ant. You didn't need to put a scene in there of him saving a freaking squirrel. Squirrels are not endangered species. All right? I mean, Christ, they run amok in my neighborhood 24 hours a day.
That was to build up his character. I mean, all creatures, even the smallest ones, are worth saving, right? That's to build his... I don't know how he knew that squirrel was in danger.
Except for spiders. But sure, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think overall, I mean, I think it was pretty good. Let me see what I had on my list here. Sure. Is there anything else you want to bring up right now?
One other thing I did want to bring up too was...
Yeah, go ahead. I'm looking at my list.
He kind of got bashed for his costume a little bit, the costume that Superman wore. I read a lot of previews where the costume was getting bashed. I had no problem with the costume.
It looked fine.
Yeah, I thought it was a good blend of old meets new. And
that was the thing. He may, I think in reality, he is pretty big because he did bulk up for the role, but he's not like, super ripped Henry Cavill, and which is fine because I don't think Superman needs to be that, I mean, it's, you're kind of getting, comic bookish when you make him look like it looks unreal. Exactly. What did you think about here? I got my list here. What did you think about the Twitter monkeys? Was that James Gunn's little? Was he firing a shot there at all the people? You think?
I think he was firing a shot at Marvel, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, hard to tell.
Well, I was thinking of all the people that canceled him way back when. Remember?
Potentially.
When everybody was getting on. So I thought, do you think they needed? A lot of people have a problem with that. Do you think they need to be in there? It didn't really matter. Or?
I honestly felt that was a scene they could have done without, or those were characters they could have done without.
What did it add to it?
Right. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it didn't determine the plot of the film, and it didn't plot along. So The
other thing I'll bring up and I'll ask you is I kind of thought I don't know, a little bit of the writing I thought lacked. I liked the characters.
Yeah.
I liked the actors, but the writing and the story itself, it kind of became, to me, it became too predictable.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Ultraman we knew was probably going to be a Superman clone, right?
Right.
I kind of caught on to that pretty quick. Other thing too, the war aspect of that. What'd you think about that? I was like, do they really have to do a war? And that, it's like there's like it almost kind of mirrored things that are going on in our own world right now,
Right,
which I know a
exactly.
lot of movies do, but I'm like,
Yeah.
really, guys, come
Well,
on.
I in a way, the war of the two countries as part of the central point of the plot was actually important because, much like Man of Steel, this Superman is trying to decide, okay, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to save humanity or just not intervene and let them blow each other to smithereens? So he was clearly ethically challenged by, well, the movie ethically challenged him because part of the plot also, much like Man of Steel, part of the plot surrounded Superman. Should he actually be doing all these things given all the powers that he has? Meaning, does he
involved?
Does he have a
inserting
right?
himself.
Does he need to get approval from heads of state before he crosses into a country to try and prevent a war? And that was kind of a basic tenet of Man of Steel. Was that Superman was being criticized for saving lives because he didn't go by the book. He didn't follow the rules, and he didn't contact, the United Nations before he encroached into a foreign land. So same thing with this to an extent, and so especially when he finds out that he was sent to Earth for different reasons, that kind of challenges his morality in a way.
And in a way, I guess it gave the Justice gang something to do.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Speaking of finding out about the parents, what did you think about that change of the lore?
Okay, so Bradley Cooper is Jor-El.
Oh, you didn't like that casting?
Well, you know what? It definitely
Should have been Zach Galifianakis with his
that would have been epic.
with his pouch,
That
with his
would have been
man
epic.
pouch.
Yeah, his man pouch.
Yeah, his fanny
It's
pack.
a man pouch. I will say the Jor-El Lara narrative definitely got flipped. So you know what? I really could care less about it, to be honest with you.
I was going to ask you though, is someone I had heard? I don't know if this is true because I'm a normie, guys. I'm not a
Yeah.
In the comic books, I don't have the lore behind me.
Yeah.
They said that there was a time somewhere way back when that this was a storyline where his parents, sent him here to do those things, and he chose not to.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know. Is that in the lore? Do you know? offhand?
I want to say yes, because again, there are so many different Superman versions, so many different comics, and really the character changed after the resurrection of Superman. Because when Superman died in the comics, he eventually was brought back to life in the 5-issue series. It wasn't called Resurrection, but Superman Reborn, where you had one character that was the Man of Steel, and then you had a Superboy character, and then another Superman character. I have all 5 of those comics.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so I'll bring them over next time.
Are those things worth? Are they like collector's items? Or?
They probably are.
Oh, wow.
I haven't had them
Oh, my
praised.
gosh.
But so yeah.
You bring them over. Make sure it's in a Brinks truck. Make sure it's in
Yeah,
an
right. No
armored
kidding.
truck.
Yeah,
just in case.
my first issue of Venom too. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah, but so anyway, I think there were some issues, or there was some part of the canon where Jor-El and Lara wanted Earth to be ruled by Superman, but just not in a tyrannical way.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, if you're looking at the canon and what they said in the first part, let's just go back to this movie and what they said in the first part. They basically said all the same stuff that we expected, right? Be good, do this, help the humans. But at the same time, I think they were kind of like saying, but we need to also get Krypton going again.
Right.
So make sure, we need to repopulate things and get things, you know what I mean? This is
Yep, exactly.
That makes sense, I guess, I don't know. I mean, and who's to say, we're dealing with a whole different culture in Krypton. We don't know what their whole purpose was, what their planet was like. We're just assuming as watchers of this that it's like what we want here, right? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like the Star Trek don't get involved and don't, and all that kind of stuff. Just observe and all that stuff. But it's not, he's like, no, they're active, they're proactive. Hey, get in there. We need to.
Right. And then who would have thought Jimmy Olsen was a babe magnet?
I thought that was a funny part. You know, some people, I thought that was a funny part of the thing, man. Yeah, that actor, what's his name? He did a great job.
Oh, here, let me.
You want to look him up real quick?
Yeah, let's Google him real quick.
He did. I will say that. Oh, I heard a funny story about him. He was saying while you're looking him up, he was saying that when he originally tried out for this, for some reason, he was under the impression that he was reading for Superman.
What?
That he was gonna.
What?
Yeah. So they said,
right.
you know, so he did his part.
Okay.
And he sent it off, and they said, "Hey, you're cast." And he was saying, "What? Really? Gunn wants me for Superman?" And his agent's like, "No, you're doing Jimmy Olsen." He's like, "Oh, okay." But anyway, it was kind of a funny deal. But yeah, well, he said at the time, he goes, "Hey, I don't know. I didn't know what direction Gunn's taking this. Maybe he's doing
It's a much different version of Jimmy Olsen, because the Jimmy Olsen that Mark McClure portrayed in the Richard Donner film is more like the Jimmy Olsen that was in the old original comics. Kind of a wimp. He's kind of a wimp. He's a nerd. Wears a bow tie and everything. The actor that portrayed Jimmy Olsen in Superman Returns, Sam Huntington. Oh my God, that was just the worst version of Jimmy Olsen I had ever seen. And I feel bad for Sam Huntington. I'm not bashing him as an actor, but yeah, he did not.
You're talking about this guy? No, this guy's named Skylar, right? Skylar Gisondo.
Skylar Gisondo, I think.
Gisondo, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm talking about a different actor who played Jimmy Olsen in Superman Returns.
Oh, in Superman Returns, got you. Sorry, yeah.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, okay. So you were saying what he this one here, he's of course Jimmy Olsen's not a chick magnet, right?
Right, exactly.
In the comics, but I thought that was an interesting take, and of course it was a plot device because he's obviously hanging out with Lex Luthor's girl.
Right.
And then I thought that was very genius. It worked where she's taking all the selfies, and then she gets in. Basically, things are going south. He's trying to get information from her. She's in trouble.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Here, I'm sending you everything, that I have," or whatever she says. And anyway, it's all, what are all these selfies? But to find out she's taking them with all the plans that are behind her in the selfies. Like, that was pretty genius.
Yep.
I gotta admit, as far as storytelling, I did like that.
Yeah, definitely.
That, even though it was a little plot device, but yeah. So I thought he did good, man. I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
To have that, and just some of the, it lend itself to a lot of good comedic moments. Like when they're talking about her mutant toes and all this kind of stuff. It's
I know, right?
What is going on here?
Well, and I love the selfie scenes. I did think the way they found out about Luthor's ultimate plot by showing the selfies that she took.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, come on, James.
You didn't like that?
No.
You didn't like that? I thought it worked, man. I thought it worked.
See, that's the part I didn't like. I'm like, you could have found out about Luthor's plot in another plausible way other than seeing the selfies taken by a really attractive co-star in the movie.
Yeah. Well, see, I think it lends itself to show that she's not, because if you remember Miss Tishmacher in Superman the movie,
yes.
I mean, she wasn't dumb. She was very smart, and I think it kind of lent itself to this too. That this one definitely had some intelligence to her. She didn't just play the eye candy.
Right, exactly.
What'd you think about Hawk Girl?
I
mean, she didn't have much to do.
Yeah, look, Hawk Girl is a key component of what eventually becomes the Justice League. I really didn't think much about her because her scenes really weren't that plentiful, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. People were annoyed by the sound, or whatever she was doing whenever she was flying around. That's what she does,
she's
right?
She's a Hawk Girl. Yeah. I mean, that's part of the character. So
I will say that, and you'll appreciate this. I will say, though, every time it did that, all I could think about was Hawk in Cobra Kai. Remember, every time he would fight, it would go like, wah! You hear that Hawk every time he was fighting.
Right.
That's all I can think about. I see the Mohawk. I'm like, where's the Mohawk?
Yeah, right? No kidding.
Let's see. What do you think about, now, the robots? I wasn't sure what I thought about those because I didn't know, as far as the lore, like I said, I'm a normie, haven't read the comic book, so I was like, what robots? What are these guys? Actually, I liked them. To me, they worked. They did really
good.
well in there, yeah. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Is there anybody else? Oh, what about like Frank Grillo? Did you like him? His little.
Oh, as Rick Flag?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I liked him as Rick Flag, because, Rick Flag is a popular character in the DC lore. He was actually portrayed by Joel Kinnaman, who portrayed him in Suicide Squad. So and the version of Rick Flag that he played was more bureaucratic, because in this movie he's more of a politician than he is a soldier, even though by training he is a soldier. And so, but when I saw him too, I'm just like, hey, wait a minute, that's Crossbones from Captain America. From Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
You're waiting for that elevator scene.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And the one that's often used when you want to make bad jokes. It's a Facebook meme, when you want to make bad jokes or something like that. So, yeah.
Well, he's got the look, though, right? I mean, as far as, he does those parts really well. Yeah, Wendell Pierce is the guy's name.
Yep.
You said Wendell Mathis. It's Wendell Pierce.
Oh, Wendell Pierce. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's. What did you think about? Now I mentioned Mr. Terrific. I thought I think everybody's saying that. I thought the same thing. He stole the show. I think he really. In some parts of the movie, the way he acted, I wanted to see kind of Superman act that way, especially towards the end of it, where he has the power. He's very cool. He's calm. He's like, listen, I've matured now. I see what's going on.
Yeah.
That the maturity that Mr. Terrific had, and the bravado. That's kind of what I wanted to see out of Superman. It didn't have to be in the beginning, but I wanted to see that. Him grow in the movie.
Yeah.
But Mr. Terrific, great job. He ended up being one of my favorite characters, I think, out of this thing. Let's see, who else? Of course, we always have the same old, Michael Rooker had a part. He was one of the robots. He's always got to be in there.
Yeah.
The comic relief that part of the Daily Planet staff here, Beck Bennett played Steve Lombardi. That was pretty funny. He had some funny moments in there. Just for comic relief, it was good. I was going to ask you, what did you think about Superman's Earth parents?
You know what? I kind of liked them. I thought the actors that portrayed them did a very good job of portraying what Jonathan and Martha Kent were, which are very supportive, very loving parents, very much protective of Clark. But I really didn't like the actors that portrayed them, though. I was expecting not younger versions of Jonathan and Martha Kent. I mean, the approximate age range was about right. Okay. I just didn't like those two actors who were in those roles,
Yeah.
Even though what I just said about them is kind of contradictory to what I just said.
I'm like, wait a minute, do you like them or do you not like them?
Okay, fine, I don't like them. There, I was spitballing, gosh darn it.
I like what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. I think the way the parents were portrayed, here's the thing I'm going to say. I think they were a little too hickish for me.
There you go. That's a better description.
Okay, yes. I think they were a little too hickish. I mean, I liked, even though they are country people, I mean, there's a definite intelligence about them. But I think, scenes where they're like, hey, Clark, are you on the phone? I can't tell what I'm using a phone. You know what I mean? With the mom in the beginning and stuff. And, it's like, okay, that kind of stuff is once in a while is funny, but, let's move on. I mean, the great scene between him and between Pa Kent and Clark, that was a good heartwarming. That was a really good heartfelt scene.
Yeah, that was heartwarming.
I think still they missed some moments there. I think they could have had a little more. I don't know. The stuff he told him was basically like, okay, our job as parents is not to tell you how to be, but basically just to be there to guide you, to help you, that kind of thing.
Yep.
It worked, but it kind of, for me, I don't know. I wish the writing was a little better. I think there could have been more as a father you would tell your son.
Definitely.
If you're a father and you put yourself in that position.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, I think he missed something. I think Gunn left some stuff on the table there.
Most definitely.
It could have been a better scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, let's see. Is there anybody in the cast I'm looking? I mean, obviously Nicholas Hoult. I had no problems with his Lex Luthor. I know you said you had a little bit. Here's a interesting thing about this, and I didn't think about it till after. And even when I was doing the review with my family, I didn't even dawn on me, because they go, this was wasn't like a PG-13 or something rated.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? PG? Why? How? And then they're like, and like my wife goes, there's a lot of cussing. That for some reason it didn't hit me. I guess maybe I'm so used to movies cussing. But I guess there was a lot of adult language in there.
There was.
And then the fact that Lex Luthor actually shot somebody in the head, that can be pretty jarring for a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, there's violence. So the one thing I'll say is that the movie, I think, is a little almost too adult. I think it should have been a PG movie. They probably didn't need all that stuff.
Right, exactly.
So I don't know. I that was the one
Yeah.
thing I have. But as far as him, Nicholas Hoult, I think he did a pretty dang good job. I was really happy with him playing Lex. Kind of an interesting. I wouldn't call it schizophrenic, but it was like, Lex is calm and cool. Like when Superman comes in, where's the dog? Oh my gosh. When the dog was all hooked up, I was like, I was as mad as Superman
I thought it was kind of funny when it was like running in place and going after the virtual squirrels.
Oh my gosh, dude, I was like so pissed. I was like Superman pissed there. I was like, I'd be ripping his Lex Luthor's head off. I'm sorry, I wouldn't. No violence, but I'm just saying. In a movie version.
Did you hear about all the complaints that were thrown DC's way from groups, animal rights groups like the SPCA and the Humane Society, for about the way the dog was treated in the movie, especially that scene where the nanites stuck to his face and went down.
Do they know
throat.
It's a digital dog?
They don't care, Eric. They need something to complain about, and they found it.
Okay.
But like DC,
because we all have nanobots. We can just have attack our dogs, right?
I don't know about you, but I have nanites coming out the yin yang left and right, man.
Oh my gosh.
I have so many nanites, I don't know what to do with them. So
I would just be I did not hear that they were upset about it. No.
Yeah, they had filed some type of they didn't file a protest, but they had sent letters of expressing deep concern about the treatment of the dog in the movie. It's like these people just literally do not know how to have a fun time.
I'm sure there was a disclaimer: no animals were hurt during the filming of this movie. Blah.
There were no digitally enhanced or CGI created animals harmed in the making of this movie. I'm sure.
For some reason that scene though, when he's running after those squirrels or whatever, he's chasing them, and it's like, and you can just tell he's about ready to collapse. And I was like so mad. I was like, oh, how could you torture a dog like that, Lex?
I was laughing.
That ticked me off. You were laughing.
I was laughing because I can see my dog Molly doing that, and I want her to do that.
You're like,
my dog drives me so nuts, man.
She's got so much energy. I need to wear her out a little bit, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. So but Lex did a good job. I wasn't sure how I thought about the pocket universe thing. I mean, I think I know why they brought it up, because they want to do that alternate universe maybe at some point, right? I wasn't too sure about that though. Let's see, what else? Was there anything else in here? You know what? The strange thing, I'll say this. The one thing I did really like is I kind of like the scene between Lois and Clark when he's like, maybe me liking all these, mainstream things and me doing what I do is punk rock. I thought that was cool. Very James Gunn, I know, but I think that was very cool that, actually, it's funny because I think that I got a sense of that's how the world actually is now. The world's so jaded, and we've been through so much, and especially in the last few years, that I think people are when somebody says, hey, have a nice day, it throws you off guard. You're like, what?
It does.
So it's kind of like that's more punk rock nowadays, to be nice and courteous, and
it is.
And kind of like how Superman is in this movie than to be regular. I don't know, just.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. There's so much fear, there's so much hate, and there's so much anger in this world today caused by myriad things, not just one person, but just a number of things. And so you're right. It does seem like, manners and politeness and thank you very much and you're welcome. Those are behaviors that now those are etched in stone on a tablet or something on a cave wall.
Yeah.
And so I hear you on that one. So in fact, you bring up a very good point, because this movie does, I think, ultimately illustrate or convey a lot of the attitudes that we have in the world nowadays, just overall about how we view the world and about how we view outsiders and even how we view those of us who live within our borders. So it's pretty much almost a direct representation of the society we live in nowadays.
Yeah. And as well as showing that, hey, you know what? It can be cool just to be nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to be, I guess, human, because they took out the American way and they put the human way. So we never actually said that, but I mean, that's more of the, be kind. Just be kind.
It takes zero effort, and you'll feel good about yourself in the end.
Now, I will say this, though. Here's the deal. Even though I had problems with that end scene where Superman was telling Lex, I put my feet, I have to make decisions, and blah blah blah. I'm just human as anyone else.
Yeah.
He had that. Like I said, I think the delivery was wrong in the sense. I think it would have been more impactful to be more mature at that point. Like, I've grown. I've grown past you. That would have ticked off Lex even more, in my opinion. He's like, listen, I've grown, I've matured now past you. But also, it's very James Gunn to what happens. He has a very poignant scene, and then you got Crypto coming in slamming Lex around like a play toy, right? You know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing? Like, let's just have a moment of, I'm glad he didn't have Crypto come in when Lois and Clark were having their moments, at least. At least he let them have their moments. But anyway, very James Gunn, right? Had Crypto come in, had the comic relief come in, and do the funny thing. I was gonna say though, also, my theater was very interesting. I'm gonna ask you how your theater reaction was. My theater though, when it stopped, and even after the end scene credit, which I only watched one, I didn't see the second. But I did later on YouTube. I found it. But, there was no clapping, which I thought was interesting. Now, when we watched Lilo and Stitch, people were clapping at the movie when it ended. When we watched this one, it was silent. And I thought, that's kind of interesting. I don't know how was your theater? Did you get any reactions in it?
There were a couple of applauses here and there. There were some reactions during certain scenes in the movie.
Sure, like then we had reactions like laughing and stuff, and
But like overall at the end, it wasn't a standing ovation. No, there was some scattered applause here and there, and the theater was pretty full that I was in.
Really?
Yeah, it was almost completely sold out.
Wow. Was it a nighttime showing? Did you go? Because we went to a daytime.
I went to a daytime showing. I went to the 3:35 showing over at Regal in River Park.
Oh, okay.
So, and I was that close because I dropped my dog off at the vet, which was in the shopping center across the street. So I figured,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I figured why haul butt all the way across town to go to the preferred theater, which is Maya, when I could just go to Regal. So I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, there were some scattered applauses, but I mean, and they were kind of short applauses. They weren't thundering or ovacious or anything like that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I was very, and I'd say my theater was probably a little under half full, which was sad.
Boo.
Yeah, but yeah, the reactions weren't there, which I was a little sad about.
Right.
I don't know, man. What do you, overall, any last? I think we pretty much. Is there anything that stood out to you that you didn't get to talk about?
Not really. We pretty much touched on everything. And again,
what did you think about also? A lot of people have brought up about this movie that Superman just gets beat the crap out of him the whole movie essentially.
Yeah.
And then even towards the end, which we'll talk about that too, but even towards the end, when he's finally has his moment, and and he's in the fortress there, and then guess who shows up? His cousin, and she's like, thanks for watching my dog, B, and people are like, man, the guy gets no respect.
Yeah.
What did you think about that in the movie, as far as him getting beat up a lot, or I don't know, did that bother you? Did you have a reaction to it, or you didn't think about it at all, or?
You know what? I had no problem with it, okay? Because even though Superman is the Man of Steel and he has all these tremendous powers, we also have to keep in mind that Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, when they created him, wanted a character that was fallible. They wanted a character that could have that could get his butt kicked on occasion when it had to happen. Because I mean, you think about it. Superman, draws his powers from the yellow sun. His cells absorb the radiation that is emitted from the sun, and that's what gives him his powers. But if you strip all of that away, he's just a normal man like you and I. And Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster wanted him to be that way. I remember watching an interview they gave several years ago when Superman Returns came out.
Okay.
I think one of them, actually, Jerry Siegel, was still alive before he passed away when that movie came out. But I remember him saying in that interview, the whole purpose of us creating Superman was we wanted to create a character that could lose. We wanted to create a character that was more human than he realized, because even though he can do all these tremendous things, he's not completely invincible. That when he goes up against a foe who is stronger and faster than he is, he can get beat. And so I had no problem with that. We needed to see that vulnerable side of Superman. We need to see that vulnerable side of the character, because we see too many superheroes who can do everything and who can't be beat. And you can relate more to a hero when he is down and when he gets beat, rather than a hero who is completely infallible and none of that stuff happens to him.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a problem with that. I liked it, actually. I thought it lended itself to a new element to the character that we haven't really seen a lot of.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, and and when I was thinking about that, and you just brought it back to top of mind here. What was also good about the character, and I think especially for people to see, and maybe young boys, is that here was a man who, even though things were constantly, the odds were constantly against him.
Yeah.
And he didn't always get the praise. He still got back up and he did the job that he had to do to the best of his ability.
Absolutely.
And with those values that like Ma and Pa Kent instilled in him, and that's what I think too. That's one thing that I did like, as well, and it took away
definitely.
that I took away from the movie, that I really liked. Yeah, it's good seeing going back to the punk rock thing. It's good seeing a guy who is not you're saying fallible, but he's not fallible of character per se. Right.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
he's not invincible.
Not invincible,
but he's
we
not
know that.
fallible. At least in this movie, he wasn't portrayed. He stuck to his principles, even though I think there was even a scene, wasn't it, where Lois Lane says something to him, and he's all like, "Gosh darn it, Lois!" You know what I mean? He's like, he like tried to cuss, and it was one of those, "Gosh darn it," and that was his big cuss word.
Yes.
But that's what. But his character didn't change, and that's what I really liked. And I think it was a great message. That going back to the punk rock, that maybe that is punk rock now.
Yeah, definitely.
One more thing. What did you think about Supergirl coming in at the end?
Didn't need it.
Didn't need it. Okay.
I don't think they needed it. She's gonna get her own movie.
What do you think about the actress playing her, Millie Alcott? You think she's?
I think she's cute.
Yeah. I mean, she was in. Did you watch House of Dragons?
I did.
Okay,
yes.
so she was obviously in that.
Yeah, she was in that. But still, for this purpose, no, they didn't need to introduce her.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Could have done. I didn't need it. Could have done without it. That's just my take, though.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. It didn't. A lot of people had like I said, they were upset because of the way she treated Superman.
Right.
But obviously it's setting up her character.
And she was drunk, or at least she seemed inebriated.
She was, and I think, and you probably know the lore better than I do, but supposedly, from what I've heard, right, she's a total flip side of Superman. In other words, she's very, as far as her character, she has a lot of issues. The fact of her family getting destroyed in front of her, I guess, or her planet or her world.
Well, she's more adventurous, a little less mature than what he is, and she's also somewhat naive. So yeah, she's a complete 180 from what Kal-El is.
Yeah. So it'll be, I don't know, so it's supposed to be a whole interesting take. Here's the other thing that has been mentioned, and I don't know much about the lore, but they're like, okay, so you've got this kid-friendly, kind of semi-kid-friendly Superman movie, and now you're going to go right into like a rated R Supergirl movie with Lobo, which is probably going to be played by
Jason Momoa.
Has that been confirmed?
It is confirmed. He is going to be Lobo. Yeah. Okay. So no more Aquaman for him.
I don't. Yeah. Well, I think what's her face? She's not going to be in it. He's not going to be in it, right? No,
nope, definitely not.
Amber Fry. And no, it wasn't named Amber Heard.
Yeah. Oh, Amber Heard.
Amber Heard.
Bully.
Yeah. But I don't know. It didn't really need to be in there. It was okay. I understand what he was doing. Didn't really affect me much. A lot of people had a problem with it. One more thing I'll say is I kind of liked how they did the whole magnifying glass with the sun to re-energize Superman. That was kind of a cool little deal.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. I like that. That kind of worked out.
Oh, one other thing I will say. I almost forgot.
What?
I did not like the baby scenes with Metamorpho. I'm sorry. We didn't. That was just.
Oh.
You remember that scene where they're trying to get out of the dimensional rifts, and he's saving Metamorpho's kid, and he's being attacked.
Little kid
I'm just like, okay.
The guy's over there. I'm gonna punch your kid, and
exactly. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, you didn't need that. Okay.
That was very odd. Now I understand why they used him. I don't know the character, anything about the character, but I understand because he can, obviously he did two things there. He created kryptonite, and he was able to create a mini sun, in there to give Superman back some power.
Yeah.
So I understand that. That scene that's the one thing I will say, the whole scene where he's in that plasma river or whatever that was, Superman holding the baby up and fighting at the same time. Yeah. That was goofy.
It was extremely goofy.
I mean, they should have, if they were going to cut anything, they should have cut that down quite a bit,
definitely.
But the whole, like you're saying, it didn't. Here's the thing I think people have, and I'll end on this. I think people are getting tired of seeing cities destroyed. Like this whole big, New York, the big old rift in Metropolis. They had that big old crack in buildings. And then they fix it by just closing it up. I mean, it's not even like things actually get patched up. They just close the damn thing up.
Right.
And you still got these buildings that have a big, cut right down the middle of them. I think that's one thing that gets kind of... It was funny. We were watching with our daughter. We were watching Superman the movie and getting her introduced to the Christopher Reeve one. And that was the one cool thing about them is that they had the limitation of the special effects. They could only do so much.
Yeah.
And so you didn't see big cities getting destroyed like this. It's not like, or like we've seen in the Avengers and all these movies where it's like, how many times can New York get destroyed?
It's complete Armageddon.
Yeah. It's like, and it almost gets too much. And I understand they want to make it bigger, but it's almost like I'm desensitized to it now. It's like, New York buildings are, there's a rift in this and the building is falling and who cares anymore? You know what I mean? At this point, it's just like, it's another building.
Yep.
I think they've overdone that. So that's the bad thing about special effects is I think it lends too much to having them to go do this grandiose destruction and it just plays against now. Before it was shocking. Now it just plays against. Anyway.
Yep. Definitely.
Anyway, final thoughts. Superman.
Final thoughts. Worth going to see. It's fun. If you're going to take your kids, just beware. Language a little bit kind of laced throughout.
And Luther does shoot a guy in the head. And
of course, Crypto gets consumed by nanites. But aside from that,
he gets consumed, but he figures it out.
Aside from that, it's a fun film. Go see it.
What did you? Yeah. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, one more thing.
Okay.
What did you think about Luther's henchman there? The girl with the blades in her hands and the nanite lady.
Oh,
and the one that created the nanites.
Yeah.
And the other.
I didn't.
Yeah, didn't care too much.
Didn't care too much for her. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right.
So anyway, all right. Hey folks, that's gonna do it.
Up and away. Time for us to get out of here, Eric.
Up and away.
Yep.
Did you see James Gunn's post? Instead of look up, it says look out, and it has Supergirl right there.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you gotta look at that. Okay, anyway.
Okay.
Hey guys, check us out on our social media. We do appreciate you guys being here.
Yep.
And as always, give us a review if you can.
Yeah.
Leave us a message. Tell us to review this. Tell us to review that. We appreciate the interaction.
Absolutely.
And
we'll see you guys later on the flip side. Peace out.
Take care.